The night she ran
The
into death.
shadows yield to
That is
our
a scary
light.
thing to think about.
Together,
The night
we
she
are
ran into
eternal.
death is something that will always be remembered.
The shadows
What
awaken.
happened the night
Rise
she
and
ran
obey.
into death is a
None shall
story that
defy the
needs to be
throne's
told.
eternal will.
The night she ran into death was a night that changed everything. The diner sign was blinking on and off like it was really tired. The red light was shining on the street. Inside the diner it was warm. It smelled like bad coffee and old grease. It also smelled like nobody was happy. Lila Hart was wiping the counter again. She had already cleaned it 2 times. Her hands were shaking a bit. She had to bite her lip to make them stop shaking. Lila Hart was used to people not seeing her. This always happens to girls who do not have a lot of money. The diner's neon sign was still blinking on and off. Lila Hart was still wiping the counter. She was trying to look busy. Lila Hart was feeling lonely. Tonight she can feel it again, that feeling of something between her shoulders. It is the feeling that someone is watching her. She knows this feeling. It is the weight of being watched by someone. The pressure between her shoulders is back. She knows what that means. Someone is watching her tonight. Marcus was sitting in the corner booth, the booth he always picked. His coffee was just sitting there. It had been that way for almost an hour. The steam was gone. Marcus' eyes were still on her. When she looked over at him, he smiled. It was the smile Marcus used to give her, the one that used to seem nice and made her feel safe. Now Marcus' smile made her feel scared and nervous. Weeks ago she had laughed at a silly joke Marcus made when he was counting his money. It only took 3 weeks for kindness to turn into obsession. 3 weeks and kindness was replaced by obsession. The kindness people showed turned into an obsession in 3 weeks. Her manager did not notice anything. Maybe he just did not want to. When Lila told him that a customer was making her feel weird, he said she was overreacting and that she should be thankful to have a job. The police were not help either. They were nice and polite. They said they could not do anything until something bad actually happened. It was like they did not think the notes on her car, the weird messages from unknown phone numbers, and the creepy photo that someone slipped under her apartment door showing a picture of her bedroom window were not already a big deal. Lila had to deal with the customer and the police. It was very frustrating. The police just said that until something worse happened they could not do anything to help Lila. Tonight felt different. When Lila's shift ended, the rain was coming down hard. It was hitting the ground like it was trying to tell her something. Lila walked outside, pulled her jacket tighter around her. She did not have a warm jacket on. That is when she saw Marcus. Marcus was standing by her car looking very relaxed. His hands were in his pockets. The rain was making his hair stick to his face. Marcus looked very calm. Marcus looked like he owned the place. Marcus seemed sure of himself. "Lila," he said quietly, like they were old friends who had not seen each other in a long time and were meeting late at night. "We need to talk about something," he said to Lila. She said, "There is no us." She had her fingers wrapped around the keys tightly. They looked like claws. "Please," she said, "just leave me alone." His smile moved a little. Something bad showed up in it for a second. "You do not mean that," he said. "You smiled at me. You listened to what I had to say. People like you do not do that unless they feel something for the person. You felt something when you smiled at me and when you listened to me." Fear cracked through Lila's chest like it was made of glass. Lila turned around. She ran. She did not think about what she was doing. She just ran into the rain. The streets were new to her. She had never seen them before. Her shoes made a noise on the wet pavement. She could hear his footsteps behind her. They were very loud. Her lungs felt like they were on fire. She could not see well because of her tears in the rain. The street lights started to disappear one by one. Then she was in the part of town. The buildings were old and empty. They looked like they were talking to each other. The rain in the buildings made her feel scared and alone. "Lila," he said loudly. "You cannot run away forever, Lila." She turned a corner. Ran right into iron bars. This was a fence. On the side of the fence old tombstones stuck out of the long grass. They looked like teeth that were broken. This was the cemetery. The cemetery that people stayed away from. The cemetery that had stories that people did not like to talk about. The cemetery was a place with stories like that. She managed to squeeze through a gap in the fence. The thorns on the fence really hurt her. They ripped her uniform. Her skin was burning. Behind her Marcus followed. His breathing was really ragged now. He had lost his patience. Her foot caught on a root. She fell down really hard. She scraped the palms of her hands on some gravel and cold stone. The city lights were away, but they were reflected in his eyes, which made him look like an animal. He was standing a few steps away from her, the city lights shining in his eyes, making the city lights look like they were, in his eyes, the eyes of the man standing near her. He said that "We are going to go to your place. You will invite the man in. You will stop pretending about the man. The man wants you to be honest with him." Lila moved backward fast until she felt something hard and smooth against her back. It was stone. Old stone. She turned her head around. Saw a big tomb standing behind her. This tomb had lots of symbols cut into it. These symbols looked like they were moving when she was not looking at them. There were chains hanging down across the door of the tomb. These chains were all rusty because they were so old. She did not pray to God. She said a prayer to anything that might be listening. She really prayed to anything that could hear her. Please, she said quietly. I just need a place where I can feel safe, a place that's safe for me, somewhere safe. The chains fell down. The locks were not snapped. The locks were not broken. The locks just slid off the door like they were never really there, making a clinking sound as they hit the ground. The big door of the mausoleum swung open on hinges, letting out a breath of cool air that seemed impossible. Lila did not hesitate. The woman went inside fast. She threw herself inside. The door slammed shut behind her. Marcus ran into it a while later. He was pounding on the door and screaming for her to open the door. Then his voice started to fade away. It sounded far away after that. The door and the wall were so thick that they swallowed up the sound of Marcus' voice. The sound of Marcus' voice was. It was like the door and the wall were deeper than any stone. The darkness was around her. It made her feel really scared. The darkness was so thick it felt like it was wrapping itself around her. Then light. A soft blue glow lit up a long hallway that was not supposed to be there. The air had a smell that was like books and dried up flowers, but it did not smell bad. There were spaces in the walls and they had big jars and small boxes in them, all worn out from being old. The floor had lots of footprints on it from people who had walked on it times, even though nobody should have been walking around here for a very long time. The corridor opened up into this cool circular room. The circular chamber was pretty amazing. It was a chamber that you entered from the corridor. The walls were filled with books that went all the way up into the dark. In the middle of the room was a chair made out of black stone. It looked really old and important. A man was sitting in the stone chair. The books and the chair made the man look like a king. The black stone chair was like a throne. The man was sitting on it. When you looked at him at first, he seemed like a person. He was young and pale with hair that fell across his face. His features were sharp and well defined. Then you saw his eyes, and that is when things seemed off. The eyes of the man were really old. They seemed to have seen everything. The color of his eyes was a gray that reminded you of winter storms. These storms had been around for long, that they had seen the rise and fall of entire cities and countries. The man's eyes were like that, they had seen civilizations come and go. The man said, "You called." The man's voice was really quiet. It still filled the whole room. It was like a bell ringing from deep down. "You asked for a place to stay," he said, reminding them of something. "You begged for sanctuary." Lila fell to her knees. She could not help it. "Someone is trying to hurt Lila," she said. Her voice was shaking. "Lila just needs a place to hide. Please help Lila." The man stood there. Shadows were around him like they were trying to grab onto him or something. "I am King Valerius Nocturne," he said in a voice. "I am the ruler of the people who cannot rest. Let me tell you, King Valerius Nocturne has not given shelter to a living person in a very long time, 70 whole years to be exact." She swallowed. "Are you going to hurt me?" Becomes. She swallowed. "Are you going to hurt the girl? Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No, that does not sound right." She swallowed. "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No, that is not it either." She swallowed. The girl looked up at the person. Said, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." She swallowed. The girl asked the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No, that is not right." She swallowed. "Are you going to hurt the girl, me?" "Yes, that is it." She swallowed. "Are you going to hurt me, the girl?" "No, that is not it." She swallowed. "Are you the person going to hurt me?" "No." She swallowed. "Are you going to hurt the girl, me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt the girl, me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl asked the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" "Yes, that is it." She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" "Yes, that sounds about right." The girl swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl. Then the girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl. The girl looked up at the person and said, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl, me?" "No." The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" Said, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl swallowed. "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" Then the girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl looked up at the person. Said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl asked the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" Said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" Then said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" Said, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl asked the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" Then the girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl asked the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" Said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" Then the girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." Said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." Said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl asked the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" Said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" Then the girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl asked the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" Said, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." She swallowed. The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." Then the girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" Said, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." The girl asked the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" Said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." She swallowed. The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." The girl asked the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" Said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" Then the girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl asked the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. The girl said, "Are you going to hurt the girl me?" "No." She swallowed. The girl asked, "Are you going to hurt me?" The girl said to the person, "Are you going to hurt the girl?" "No." Said, "Are you going to hurt me?" She swallowed. "No," he said. He was telling the truth. "But I will make you an offer," he said. The offer was something he wanted to make to this person. He wanted to make this person an offer. He stepped closer. Now he seemed really tall. "You can stay here. Nobody will bother you. No person can come after you. Nothing bad can happen to you inside these walls. If you want me to keep you safe, you will never be able to leave. You will not be able to leave for 1 hour. For 1 day. This place where we are standing will be your world. And I will be the person you will talk to. The tomb becomes your world, and I become your only company. You will only have me to talk to in this tomb." Lila thought about Marcus' smile. She thought about the police not caring. She felt really alone when there were people all around her. She said, "I accept," in a quiet voice. Valerius looked at her for a long time. He seemed surprised. You could see it in his face for a second. Then he slowly nodded his head. Then he said to me in a soft voice, "Welcome to the place that is between life and death." For the time in a really long time, the Necromancer King was not by himself anymore. The Necromancer King, who people called the king who lived with the dead, was finally with someone. This was a change for the Necromancer King. The Necromancer King had been alone for decades. Now the Necromancer King had some company. Lila woke up. She did not know if she had slept for a few minutes or a very long time. There was no morning light in the tomb. There was no evening light either. The tomb had a blue light that was always there. This light was quiet and calm. It was also a little scary. It felt like time was standing still. Lila had a thought for a second. She thought maybe she had died in the cemetery. Maybe this tomb was what happened after you died. Maybe it was a place that your fears made for you. Then she felt the pain in her scraped palms. It was a feeling. She also felt tightness in her chest. Her stomach was growling with hunger. This was a normal feeling for a person. She was alive. She was stuck in a situation, but the fact was that she was alive. There was a knock at the door. It was slow and precise. The knock at the door was really slow and really precise. "May I come in?" a deep voice said. The voice was really deep. It was asking if it could enter. The question was, "May I come in?" It was asked by a deep voice. She jumped in surprise. It had been a long time since someone asked her if it was okay to do something. "Yes," she said. She was surprised that her voice did not shake when she said yes. The woman sounded calm when she said yes. The door opened without making a sound. King Valerius walked into the room. He stopped at the entrance like he was following a rule that he had always followed. The blue light in the room made King Valerius look like he was made of stone. His cheekbones were sharp, his mouth was calm. His eyes looked like they had seen everything that had ever happened. King Valerius had eyes that had watched things come to an end for a long time. "This room used to be someone's room," he said. "You can use the room if you want to. If you want to make any changes to the room, just let me know." Lila looked around the room. It was a room. Everything was really clean and tidy. There was a bed with a velvet blanket on it. The shelves were full of books. These books were old. The covers were worn out from being used so much. On the dresser there was a music box. The music box was made of silver. It did not shine like it used to because it was old. The room felt sad to Lila. It felt like a memory that people wanted to remember. The music box and the books and the bed all seemed like things that people did not want to forget. Lila thought the room was like a memory that people wanted to keep. The woman asked this question in a voice. She wanted to know who lived in this place. "Who lived here?" she asked quietly. Valerius just stopped moving. He was still. Valerius did not say a word. Make a sound. Valerius was frozen in place. The man spoke up after a while. "My daughter," he said. "She passed away before this place changed into what it's now." Lila said sorry in a quiet voice. He said, "Do not be." It was clear he did not mean the words. Sorrow is something that the living people have to deal with. The man said, "I gave that up a time ago, and he was talking about sorrow. He turned to leave, then he stopped. You will need to eat something. The kitchen will give you food. If you feel scared at any time, call my name. No noise can get out of these walls without me saying it is okay. When he left, the silence was really loud around Lila. She sat on the edge of the bed, put her arms around herself, trying not to think about the deal she made with the people who were supposed to keep her safe. Lila thought about the fact that she would be safe now. She would also be stuck in this place forever. She would not be able to leave. The people would keep her here, make sure she is safe, but Lila would not be free. Lila told herself that this is better than looking over her shoulder waiting for someone to catch her. It is better than being on the run all the time, never staying in one place for long. The thought of staying in this place forever made Lila feel really sad and scared. The weight of being stuck in this place for the rest of her life felt very heavy on her chest. Lila thought about this a lot, about the deal she made. She was not sure if she made the right choice. Later, when the word later actually meant something, she would walk around the halls. The place was like a tomb, and it was really hard to figure out. The corridors would change a bit when she was not paying attention. Doors would open up into rooms that seemed to belong to times like from hundreds of years ago. No matter where she went, she saw spirits everywhere. They were like see-through people who kept doing the small things over and over. Some of them were dusting shelves, others were reading the page in a book again and again. There was a little boy who kept rolling a ball, but it never actually moved. Valerius said from behind her, which made her jump. These are like memories that stay after people die, he said. These memories do not know that the people are really gone. Valerius said that these memories are echoes. The people in these echoes do not know that they have died. Lila said that is really bad. She could hardly get the words out. He said yes. That is what death is like for people. Do animals feel pain when they are hurt or sick? Animals do feel pain when something bad happens to them. The question is, do animals feel pain like people do? Animals feel pain too, so we should try to help them when they are hurt. No. Only repetition. She saw a woman folding linens that would never even be taken out of the closet. You tie them up, Lila said in a voice. You make the linens do what you want them to do, the linens serve you. He said that he gives them a reason to be. If they do not have this reason, the things he is talking about will disappear quickly. He believes that giving them purpose is what makes them last a little longer. The things he is talking about, they need purpose or else they will fade away faster. She did not argue. Not yet. Something in her chest felt bad for them and for him. Over time, hours or days or even weeks, she got to know what Valerius did every day. Valerius spent all his time in his library with books and weird tools all around him, trying to mix what he knew about medicine with magic that was not allowed. He would often talk to himself in languages that she did not know. He would just look at pictures and diagrams as if he wanted them to be different. She said to me one time, "You do not sleep. I'm going to rest. This is because my memories are really bothering me. They are too much for me to handle right now. I need to rest when my memories become too loud." One night she got up the nerve to ask, "Why did you help me?" He did not answer away. His fingers traced a symbol that was carved into the table. "Because you asked," he said finally. "Not because you demanded something. Not because you expected something. You begged for something. You really meant the internet request you made for music and the music you asked for." Lila laughed softly. It was a sad sound. She said, "No one ever listens when Lila begs." Valerius looked at her, then he really looked at Valerius' friend. "I did." That was the moment when she figured out something that really scared her and also made her feel happy at the time. For the first time in a very long time, someone actually saw her. She started helping him without him having to ask her. She organized his notes for him. When his eyes got really tired, she read to him loud. She asked questions that nobody else had thought of asking. She did not know anything about necromancy. She knew how people think. She knew what it is like to be sad. She knew what it is like to be lonely. She understood people. She understood grief and she understood loneliness. "The woman told me that I had been alone for a long time," she said this to me one night. Yes. You do not have to be anything. The things that you are is not needed now. You can just be yourself. Music for your soul. Music for your soul is not the point here. The point is you do not have to be anything else. You can just stop being what you are because you do not have to be any more. Something in the air changed. The blue light started to flicker. He said that he does not know how to be this way. He meant being alive with someone. It is hard for him to be alive with someone. Lila said this in a soft voice. "We will learn," Lila said. Lila added that we will do this together. For the time since he died, King Valerius Nocturne felt something break inside King Valerius Nocturne. It was not pain that King Valerius Nocturne felt. It was not anger that King Valerius Nocturne felt either. Hope. Somewhere deep inside the tomb a music box started playing all by itself just one time and nobody had touched it. When kindness brought the dead back to life. Something was different. We found out about it in a really quiet way at first. The first sign that something had changed came quietly. Lila saw a change in the air when she walked down the corridors. It felt warmer. It did not bite with that cold feeling that was always there. The spirits were acting differently too. They were staying near Lila, not looking at her, not doing anything, just floating closer. It was like they were drawn to something. They did not know what it was. The blue light from the tomb looked different. Well, it was softer. It was not as harsh as it used to be. The edges of the light were not sharp like the light from the moon, they were gentle like the light from a candle. Valerius felt it too. He had this feeling inside him like something was not quite right, and it seemed Valerius was not the only one who felt this way because Valerius felt it too. He was standing in the library. It had been a while. Time did not really work here. And he was looking at his hands like they were not his own. The shadows that used to stick to him closely were now letting go, they were just hanging around instead of wrapping around him, like they were not sure who was in charge of the library, or who the shadows belonged to the library, or him, the shadows that belonged to him. He said that you changed something, and he did not even turn around to look at you when he said it. Lila just stopped moving. She said, I did not mean to do that. He said, I know. The thing that really bothers me is that they had been working together for a time now. She sat next to him while he studied death like he always did. Now she was asking him questions. She asked questions. She asked questions that people ask. She wanted to know why it feels worse to be sad when you're quiet. She wanted to know why telling someone what to do is different from asking them to do it. She wanted to know why having power over people is not good if you do not care about them. She said to him one evening as she watched him make a spirit do something, you are in charge of death like you are the boss of a group of people. You never ask death why it is scared. Death, she had learned, will listen when you talk to it in a voice. This thing that happened was not supposed to happen. It did, and it changed everything. The experiment that changed everything began as an accident. Valerius had built a room with glass that had old writings on it, writings that were even older than his own kingdom. This room was meant to see how the energy. When all the dust finally settled, something that could not happen was still there. The dust had. Something impossible was still remaining. A small flame was burning inside the broken runes. It was not really fire. It was not really magic either. The flame was something in between these two things. It was beating slowly and steadily like the way a heart beats in your chest. Valerius stumbled backward. That thing should not be real, he said, still trying to understand what he was seeing. Valerius was really shocked by what was in front of him. Valerius thought that thing, the thing that Valerius was looking at, should not exist all. Lila looked at it with her mouth open. She said, the thing is alive. The flame moved up and down a little, then it floated away to the side. It did not go up. It went out into the air. The flame slipped through the air like it knew where it was going. The flame disappeared down the hallway that leads to a room that Valerius had kept closed for a long time, many decades. His daughter's room. People ran. The door creaked open by itself. The music box on the dresser, which was broken for 70 years, was now open. Inside the room everything was really quiet for a time, but that had changed. The moon in the window looked warmer and nicer. There was no dust on the furniture anymore. The music box, the one that was broken for 70 years, was open. That was really strange. The music was playing. The melody was soft, childish, achingly familiar. Valerius dropped down to his knees. He was really on his knees now. Valerius stayed like that for a moment on his knees. He said that he never fixed it. The thing is, it is impossible. He whispered this to me. Lila felt tears spill freely. She heard that someone had said something to her. Now Lila knew that the person was talking about her. She heard you. No, he said quietly. The woman gave an answer. The flame just floated above the music box. Then it went down into the music box. The tune got better, it sounded nicer. It had more to it now. The music box had a presence to it. It was like the music box had a memory now. Valerius put his forehead on the bed. Elena, he said softly, his voice shaking. I am here. The room gave an answer. Not with a body. Not with resurrection. With warmth. The room felt like people actually lived there for the time since she died. It was not a room that people kept the same all the time. Death was still there. Life was still there. The room had both death and life in it at the time. Death and life were together in the room. Valerius cried hard. He let out a lot of tears. Valerius was very sad. He could not stop crying. Valerius just kept on sobbing. Lila stayed beside him, not touching him at all. She was just there for him. That was what she was good at doing. She never told him what to do. Never said he had to do something. Lila just watched him. Was with him. She was really good at being for people like that. Lila witnessed everything that was happening to him. Later, when the magic was gone and everything was quiet again, Valerius looked at her with a lot of respect. He really looked up to her. You can tell that Valerius thought she was very special. The way Valerius looked at her was like he was amazed by her, like he could not believe what he was seeing. Valerius looked at her with something like reverence. "You are the one who did this." She said, "I just asked you to listen." He took her hands then. He did it gently and carefully. He said to her in a voice, "You are a dangerous person." He did not mean it because she had a lot of power. He meant it because she changed everything she touched. The man was talking about her. What she did to things. He said, "You change what you touch." Outside the tomb, away, past the cemetery, something else was moving around. Marcus had a dream that chains were snapping tight around his wrists. The chains in Marcus' dream were very tight. Marcus felt like the chains were going to hurt him. The dream about chains was very scary for Marcus. And in the dream a voice whispered to me, "Justice is patient." The price of protection is something that I think about a lot. The price of protection is really important to me. I mean, what is the price of protection really? The price of protection is something that we all have to consider at some point. The tomb was always there. It did not have any effect on the world around it. The tomb had been standing for a long time and it was not really a part of anything that was going on. The tomb was a thing that existed and that was it. King Valerius Nocturne has been in charge of death for a long time. He did this without anyone from the living world bothering him. The place where King Valerius Nocturne ruled was closed off. Hidden. People forgot about it because they were scared. Lila found out that being kind can have a big effect. It can even touch places where it is not supposed to be. King Valerius Nocturne's domain is one of those places. The first crack appeared in the silence. It was a thing, but it was the start of something. The silence had been really quiet for a time. Then this little crack came along. Changed everything. The first crack appeared in the silence. It was like a big deal. He turned to face her completely. "If you stay here, this place might actually change into something. It will not be a tomb or a kingdom. It will be a bridge. This place will be a bridge. If I leave, what will happen to the people I care about, to the things that matter to me, to my home, to my life, to everything that is important to me, to the things that make me who I am, to my relationships, to my job, to my daily routine, to the life I have built for myself, to my friends, to my family, to the people who depend on me, to the people I love, to my community?" Valerius closed his eyes. He said, "Then death will come for you. I will be the king again, all by myself alone." Lila took a step closer to him. Her voice was shaking. It was steady too. She said, "You do not have to be alone." He went to touch her, then he stopped. His hand was inches away from her. He said, "If I touch the woman, I may never let the woman go." The woman took the man's hand by herself. The sun came up outside for the time in a very long time. It was shining over the cemetery. This was a deal because it had been a really long time since the cemetery saw the dawn, decades actually. The cemetery was finally seeing the dawn again. Death finally understood what it was like to have hope. The Queen Between Worlds is a powerful thing. The Queen Between Worlds has a lot of meaning. When you think about the Queen Between Worlds, you think about something. The Queen Between Worlds is not a name, it is something that can change things. Death learned what it meant to hope from the Queen Between Worlds. The time Lila saw the sunrise from inside the tomb, it did not look right to her. The sunrise that Lila was seeing from inside the tomb was not what she thought it would be. Lila thought the sunrise would be beautiful. This one was different. The sunrise Lila saw from inside the tomb was wrong. That was not wrong in a way, but in a way that felt like it could never happen. Golden light came through the stone ceiling. It was like the earth was opening its eye. The golden light did not make the blue glow of death go away. The golden light and the blue glow of death mixed together. They were like the air we breathe and the bones in our body. They were like warmth and memory. The tomb was okay with this. The tomb accepted the light and the blue glow of death. Valerius stood beside Lila in silence. His hand was still wrapped around hers. It felt like if he let go of her hand, everything they had built together would fall apart. Valerius' power was moving around inside him, making him feel uneasy. For a long time Valerius had complete control over everything. He had rules that he followed, rules that were older than words. But now these rules were changing, they were bending. Valerius' power and his rules, they were not as strong as they used to be. The rules of Valerius' power were. This was something new for him. "This place is really changing because of you," he said in a voice. "No," Lila said. "The world is changing because of people like us. The things that we do are making it different." The spirits were the ones who noticed this thing first. They saw it before anyone else did. The spirits noticed this thing. That is a fact. People were not wandering around in circles forever. Some of them stopped what they were doing. Some looked up. It was like they were waking up from a dream they did not even remember having. A woman put down some clothes. Let out a breath of air because she was relieved. A kid stopped building with blocks. Laughed a happy laugh just one time, and then this kid ran down a hallway that never went anywhere before, but now it did. Valerius felt this pain like it was an ache that was hurting his chest. The ache in Valerius' chest was something he could not ignore. Valerius had this feeling of discomfort that was affecting his chest. The man said that he never meant to make this happen. He whispered these words quietly. Lila said, "You did not do that." She told him that he protected her. She chose to stay with him, the person Lila was talking to, because Lila felt safe with that person, and that is why Lila stayed. The decision we made was really important. That choice mattered because it changed things. We had to think about that choice. That choice was a deal. The boundary finally broke that night when the living world called again. It was not with fear that it called, but with real consequence. The living world called again. This time it was about the consequence. The police and other people in charge got to the cemetery after someone told them that Marcus had fallen down all of a sudden. Marcus was alive. He did not remember anything about Lila. He did not remember being obsessed with her. The doctors said that Marcus had something called trauma-induced dissociation. The real reason was not that complicated. Authorities like the police got to the cemetery. They found Marcus. The truth about what happened to Marcus was really simple. Marcus just did not remember Lila or his obsession with her. Death had taken the things that were not supposed to be there in the first place. It had taken what did not belong to this world, what did not belong to us, what did not belong. Death had taken only the things that were not meant to stay, the things that were not a part of our lives, the things that did not belong. When Valerius felt the thread of his rope snap, he knew that something was very wrong. Valerius was in a lot of trouble now because the last thread of his rope had snapped. The last thread snapping was a problem for Valerius. The man told her that she is free. He said that this person will never try to find her. The man said that she does not have to worry about him looking for her. She is free from him now. Lila let out a breath that she had been holding inside for a long time. Then I do not need to hide, she said to herself, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. The thought of not having to hide was a deal for Lila. It was something that had been weighing on her for months, and now she could finally be herself. Lila could finally be free, and that was a great feeling for Lila. Then there was silence. Valerius let go of her hand. The man told me that I am free to go. You are no longer bound, he said. His voice was steady. His eyes looked really dark. He also said, you may leave. The words hurt more than any threat ever had. Those words really hurt me. The words cut into my heart. The words were very painful for me to hear. I felt a lot of pain when I heard those words. Lila looked at him. Asked, do you really want that? The man said no. He was being honest. Wanting something is not an enough reason to be locked up. A cage is a cage no matter what you want. Wanting something does not make it okay to be trapped in a cage. She took a step closer to him. I was never trapped in a cage, she said. He told me that I was the one. He said this because of his fear. The fear that he had was what made him say that about me. She put her hand on his heart. Under all the quiet, something was beating. It was slow and not really sure of itself. It was alive in its own way. The heart was. That was all that mattered. She could feel the heartbeat of his heart. She said, I choose this. Then she said, I choose you. This is not because she is afraid of what's out there. She chooses this because she feels like she matters when she is here, with the person she is talking to, the person she chooses. The tomb was really listening. It was like the tomb was paying attention to what was going on around it. The tomb listened carefully. The throne really cracked. It was a crack in the throne. The throne is broken now because it cracked. This thing is not broken into pieces. It is split. It is opening down the middle like it does not want one person to be in charge. The magic of this place is very strong. It is changing because of the decision that is being made. The magic of this place is changing around the choice that people are making on their own. Valerius fell to one knee, and it was not because he was giving up, it was because he was really amazed by something. Valerius was completely taken aback. He just had to stop and kneel down for a moment. The kingdom knows who you are, he said slowly. They do not think of you as someone who has to do what they say. They do not think of you as someone they have caught and are holding. Lila felt a power brush against her. This was not about being in charge or being scary. It was not about being bad or evil. It was about being responsible. She felt compassion. It made her strong. Compassion was like a muscle that got stronger when she used it. For Lila, compassion and strength went together. They were like two things that fit together perfectly. When she felt compassion, she felt strong. When she was strong, she could take care of things. Lila felt like she could handle things when she had compassion and strength. The power she felt was like a reminder that she had to take care of things. It was a job, but Lila was ready for it. She was ready to use her compassion and strength to make things right. The woman said, "What am I?" Valerius looked up at her. His eyes were not stormy gray anymore, they were a silver now. Valerius' eyes had changed, they looked really nice like silver. He said to her, "You are my equal." He called her his queen, but not the queen of death. She was the queen of the place where death's no longer the end. The space where death ends, that is what he meant. She was the queen of that space, his queen, his equal. The woman gave the man a hand to get up. She helped him rise to his feet again. The woman was really kind to help him rise. They walked into the tomb together. The tomb was changing. It was not a place anymore. It was a place now. The tomb was like a place where people who were sad could feel a little better. It was a place where people who were grieving could start to heal. In the tomb, life and death were not enemies anymore. Life and death were a part of the tomb. The tomb was a place where the lost people could rest. The tomb was a sanctuary for them. Lila Hart was a waitress that nobody looked out for, but she became the woman who taught a king what it means to be merciful. Valerius Nocturne, the man people were really scared of because he was a necromancer, became a ruler. He finally figured out how to live a normal life. Valerius Nocturne was a person who had a time, but he was able to change and become a good ruler. The world, beyond that cemetery, would never know the names of those people. The people who are buried in the cemetery, their names would never be known to the world beyond the cemetery. You can really tell the difference when you use the product. The product makes a difference. The difference is something that you can feel when you are using the product. When we choose to be kind, it stays with people for a time. Kindness has a way of lasting than being scared. The thing about kindness is that it keeps on going even after we are done being kind. Kindness is what people remember, not fear. The end.